When a Ukrainian-made drone attacked an ammunition depot in Russia last September, it showcased Kyiv's determination to strike deep behind enemy lines and the prowess of its defense industry. The moment was especially gratifying for the woman in charge of manufacturing the drones that flew more than 1,000 kilometers to carry out this mission. For months after, Russia no longer had the means to keep up devastating glide bomb attacks like the one that had just targeted her native city of Kharkiv. Ukrainian weapon production is a huge guarantee of Ukraine's independence, said Iryna Terekh, the head of production at Firepoint. Terekh spoke as she surveyed dozens of deep-strike drones that had recently come off the assembly line and would soon be used by Ukrainian forces to attack arms depots, oil refineries and other targets vital to the Kremlin's war machine and economy. Spurred by its existential fight against Russia and limited military assistance from Western allies, Ukraine has fast become a global center for defense innovation. The goal is to match, if not outmuscle, Russia's capabilities, and Firepoint is one of the companies leading the way. The Associated Press was granted an exclusive look inside one of Firepoint's dozens of covert factories. In a sprawling warehouse where rock music blared, executives showed off their signature FP-1 exploding drones that can travel up to 1,600 kilometers. They also touted publicly for the first time a cruise missile they are developing that is capable of traveling 3,000 kilometers, 1,864 miles, and which Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy hopes will be mass-produced by the end of the year. Even as U.S. President Donald Trump presses for an end to the 3.5-year war, and dangles the prospect of U.S. support for NATO-like security guarantees, Ukrainian defense officials say their country is determined to become more self-sufficient in deterring Russia. Ukraine's government is now purchasing about $10 billion of weapons annually from domestic manufacturers. The industry has the capacity to sell triple that amount, officials say, and they believe sales to European allies could help it reach such potential in a matter of years. Like most defense companies in Ukraine, Firepoint grew out of necessity after Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022. Despite pleas from Ukrainian military officials, Western countries were unwilling to allow Kiev to use their allies' longer-range weapons to strike targets deep inside Russian territory. That's when a group of close friends, experts from various fields, set out to mass-produce inexpensive drones that could match the potency of Iranian-made Shahed drones that Russia was firing into Ukraine with devastating consequences. The company's founders spoke with AP on the condition of anonymity out of concern for their safety and the security of their factories. By pooling together knowledge from construction, game design and architecture, the company's founders, who had no background in defense, came up with novel designs for drones that could fly further and strike with greater precision than most products already on the market. Their long-range drones had another benefit: they did not need to take off from an airfield. When Terekh, an architect, was hired in the summer of 2023, she was given a goal of producing 30 drones per month. Now the company makes roughly 100 per day, at a cost of $55,000 apiece. The FP-1 looks more like a hastily made science project than something that would roll off the production lines of the world's biggest defense contractors. But the FP-1 has been extremely effective on the battlefield. With a payload of explosives weighing 60 kilograms, it is responsible for 60% of strikes deep inside Russian territory, including hits on oil refineries and weapons depots, according to Terekh. These strikes have helped to slow Russia's advance along the 1,000-kilometer-long frontline in eastern Ukraine, where army units have reported a sharp decline in artillery fire. Firepoint's story is not entirely unique. Soon after Russia's 2022 invasion, hundreds of defense companies sprouted almost overnight. The Ukrainian government incentivized innovation by relaxing regulations and making it easier for startups to work directly with military brigades. Patriotic entrepreneurs in metallurgy, construction and information technology built facilities for researching and making weapons and munitions, with an emphasis on drones. The ongoing war allowed them to test out ideas almost immediately on the battlefield, and to quickly adapt to Russia's changing tactics. A case in point, Firepoint had initially sourced navigational equipment for its drones from a major Western firm, but before long Russia was able to disrupt their effectiveness using electronic warfare, so Firepoint developed its own software to outwit the enemy. Because defense companies are high-value targets for Russia, many operate underground or hidden within civilian centers to evade detection. Although they are guarded by air defenses, the strategy has the disadvantage of putting civilians at risk. Many Ukrainians have died in imprecise Russian attacks that were likely targeting weapons facilities. Entrepreneurs said the alternative is to operate openly and face attacks that would set back the war effort. On the day AP reporters visited the Firepoint factory, there were dozens of drones awaiting delivery. They would all be gone within 72 hours, shipped to the battlefield in inconspicuous cargo trucks. The Firepoint team receives regular feedback from Army units, and the company has reinvested most profits toward innovating quickly to keep pace with other drone makers. Increasingly, those profits are being directed to develop a new, more potent weapon. The company completed testing this year for its first cruise missile, the FP-5. Capable of traveling 3,000 kilometers and landing within 14 meters of its target, the FP-5 is one of the largest such missile in the world, delivering a payload of 1,150 kilograms, independent experts said. Because initial versions of the missile came out pink after a factory error, they called it the Flamingo, and the name has stuck. Firepoint is producing roughly 1 Flamingo per day, and by October they hope to build capacity to make 7 per day, Terekh said. Even as Zelensky and other Ukrainian officials pursue ways to end the war, Terekh said she is skeptical that Russia will accept terms for a real peace.
Ukrainian weapon production is a huge guarantee of Ukraine independence, and not only Ukrainian independence, but also European independence and European safety of the whole continent. Because right now Ukraine is holding this barrier and let's say it's exporting safety to other countries which are standing behind Ukraine. The maximum range is 3,000 kilometers confirmed, with an accuracy of 14 meters to target on this distance. The maximum speed is 900 kilometers per hour. The cruise speed can vary, and this I will not disclose. And the payload capacity is, in the moment, 1,150 kilograms. It was 1,000 at the very beginning, but then we found a spot how to enlarge it a little bit. And the overall MTOV of the missile is 6 tons. It's been launched with a solid rocket propellant and then goes with the turbojet engine of our own production, as well as a solid rocket booster production is also our own production. The result of the overall technical characteristics is not much different from a Shahed. Of course, it has different construction, but the function is the same, despite of the fact that it can go a little bit more far, has a little bit of bigger payload, and is a little bit more advanced in terms of precise hit to a specific target. There was no once a situation where by accident FP1 had hit a civilian infrastructure. Therefore, it is very convenient to understand how to plan a mission, to make it safe and to make it very precise. And also it's 5 times cheaper than Shahed, which is very handful for our country, which is not as rich. And we are relying on a financial help from partners as well, very much.